The following podcast is a mass media production.
Hey, this is Chad Nemiro.
And I'm Kelly Nemiro. Welcome to the Balancing Chaos podcast,
A lifestyle podcast where we will interview guests about wellness, business, and just about everything in between.
Our goal is to help you develop a lifestyle that promotes health, wholeness, and success. Through our conversations, we hope to inspire you to live a beautiful, full, and joyful life as you navigate balancing the chaos.
We hope you enjoy.
You guys, it's our very first episode of the Balancing Chaos podcast. And before we bring on any of our expert guests, we wanted to start by sharing more about us, especially since you don't know Chad very well.
So in this episode, we will allow you to get to know us better by having us interview each other. And let me promise you, there's some spicy questions.
You're going to hear about how we first met, when we got engaged, and how we decided to start a family.
We'll share our perspectives on life, our values, some of the daily practices we both deploy, and our passion.
We hope you enjoy this episode, and we hope that you subscribe and stick around to listen to all of our incredible guests this season.
Hey listeners, if you're looking for a jeweler you can trust for all your jewelry needs, the Jewelers of Las Vegas is the place to go. From diamonds, jewelry, engagement rings, timepieces, all jewelry repairs, and custom design, the Jewelers of Las Vegas has been Nevada's most trusted jeweler since 1976.
Seriously, whenever I need something custom or there's something that I want that isn't available online, I always text Natalie because she's a family friend and they're family owned and operated. They're dedicated to giving the best customer service. And I can tell you that firsthand because I've been working with them for so many years. They specialize in custom design, like I said, and I love that they have their own manufacturing facility here on site in Vegas. So they do everything right here so you can see what you're getting right away.
Yeah, they have the largest selection of diamonds, engagement rings, and jewelry in Las Vegas, and they carry luxury watch brands. I buy virtually all Kelly's gifts through the jewelers.
Like my push present and my Christmas presents, Chad got all of that stuff through the jewelers. Most importantly, they'll always take care of you. You can go to their website, www.thejewelers.com, or you can call or text, which I love. Texting is the new way of living, 702-382-1234 for more information or to see their locations. Tell them Kelly or Chad sent you. Since so many of our listeners know me really well because of Instagram, and sometimes I show you too.
Sometimes.
Yes.
When you must.
I want them to be able to get to know you better on this episode, so when we have other guests, people feel like they really know you on a deeper level. So, in your own words, tell me how we met.
So we met in college. We both went to the University of Southern California. They used to have a good football team.
Fate happened. We both weren't supposed to be there.
We weren't supposed to be there. We both transferred is what you're saying.
Right,
so
and you
we're
transferred
both too stupid
because
to get in at the first time, which is really what happened. But I was a bit older, so I was graduating, and I think you were a sophomore, right?
That's right.
And
you were actually in your fifth year.
I double majored. That's valid. But yes, I was in my fifth year. Some of the transfer credits didn't come through. But we met at the most romantic place that you could meet, a fraternity house. And as I remember it, it was during a party. I think we had seen each other before or maybe talked briefly, but I think it was the first time we really actually had a full conversation and, probably build the attractiveness, if you will.
Because you were dating one of my sorority sisters at the time.
I was, yeah. I think you were dating one of my fraternity brothers.
No.
You always act like you weren't, but you were because he came to Vegas. So yeah, that's how we met. And then we started off as friends.
Yeah.
And do you want me to go into that?
We started off as friends, and then you broke up with my sorority sister to date me.
That's right. That's right. We won't. Thou shalt not be named.
All right. So from there, we dated for almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then when I was about to graduate, we broke up a series of times.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
so we broke up for good for almost 2 years. Who broke up with who?
You broke up with me, to be fair. but I think the ship was going down. Both engines were out for a couple months.
I think we both had a lot of growing and changing to do. And I honestly did not think that, we were ever going to get back together and get married. But after, dating somebody else for a year or so, I realized that you were my soulmate, and I didn't have the kind of chemistry with anyone else that I had with you because you're my best friend. And I'm getting like a little bit emotional here.
I like you too.
Oh my God.
I think like on that note though, I think one of the hardest things, especially when you're in love is sometimes timing is everything in life. I certainly believe that. And sometimes you really do have to let those you love most go and let them go, figure out who they are and what they want to be. And if you truly love each other, it'll come back. And sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay too. But I truly believe that if we hadn't broken up and we didn't go our separate ways and grow separately, maybe we would be together, but we wouldn't be nearly this happy. So
yeah, I think we were both really immature in those 2 years.
Yeah, especially you, but me too.
The time that I spent in New York living there, and you growing and living by yourself in LA, we changed a lot. And ultimately, when I was 26 and I think you were almost 30, we got back together. So tell our listeners that story. How did we get back together?
So we both had dated separately, pretty serious relationships.
Yeah.
Yours was more serious, as we've discussed.
Oh, Jesus, John.
But, honestly, I didn't think we would ever really speak again, aside from like a birthday text here and there. The idea of getting back together was never in my mind. We truly had like gone our separate ways. That's the truth of it. So you sent me a text message that said something to the tune of like, hey, you try to like be very informal about it as if it was normal.
I think I said I miss you.
Yeah, you started with hey, and then I think you moved on. We both are emotional people. You moved pretty quickly towards what you wanted, which is, I want you back in my life, essentially. But yeah, it moved very rapidly. I think I was out in Vegas within, 2 weeks, less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what year is that? 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we were married 2 years later, and now we have a kid, and.
So let's talk about that really quick. So tell everyone, because I don't even know this myself. When did you know that you wanted to marry me? And then like how you proposed? Because I always you guys, I'm a little bit controlling, and I never wanted to be proposed to like at a restaurant or in a public place. I was very anti that. I just wanted it to be us. So I've never really shared this story even on Instagram. So tell us about when you knew you wanted to marry me and how you proposed.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to marry you when you instructed me that the time had come. And your family also instructed me.
Come on.
I'm kidding. But you were clear, and that happens because sometimes guys, we don't want to take on the responsibility. That does happen, guys, and that doesn't mean we're bad people. So I knew I wanted to marry you before we even got back together. Like when you're apart from someone, and especially when you've dated other people, you really get to analyze, what you like, what you don't like, why you miss people, not just the romantic aspect, but the fact that you're like my best friend. And so I think we both knew right when we got back together it was headed in that direction. But yeah, from the onset, but I think guys are different than girls, and that girls kind of grow up potentially always thinking about that day, whereas guys, I don't think about it as much. And so I think probably about 6 to 8 months in, probably when I moved to Vegas is when I really started thinking about, what that would entail and how I would do it and that kind of thing. So pretty early on. We had the luxury of dating many years before. So
how'd you do it?
Guys, don't overcomplicate things. My original plan involved a series of flights and scavenger hunts and things of that nature. It was a logistical nightmare, so I wouldn't recommend it. Keep things simple. I ended up just doing it on the beach, which is, what you love most. And so we were in Santa Barbara, and it was around Thanksgiving, and I knew I wanted both our families to be involved, at least, within a few days of each other, and we were there with my family, and we could go see your family right after. So I knew I wanted to do it on a beach. I knew I wanted our dogs to be involved, and that was, I was kind of going to let the rest happen naturally. And so, yeah, we were just walking down, I don't know exactly the name of the beach, but it's right below Santa Barbara. And
Tommy jumped up on my pants, got me all dirty.
Yeah.
This was pre-traveler, so we didn't have to worry about the drool. But
pre-trav.
It was very special because it was just us and the 2 dogs at the time, which was...
Yeah, you got to know your audience. I knew you didn't want like drones flying around, so...
No flash mob. All right, last question about us. How did you know that you wanted to start a family? And describe the feeling of what it was like when Wes was born.
Yeah, so again, I was instructed that I'm not getting any younger and that it was time for me to give you what in fact you wanted. I'm kidding. To be transparent, this caused, I wouldn't say issues, but, we both knew we wanted a family. I think there might have been some miscommunication on when.
Yeah, totally.
So it happened very fast. I mean, you definitely pretty much, I think on the flight back from the honeymoon, we're beginning to prepare. I'm kidding mostly. We always talked about having a family. We always knew we wanted a big family. And so it's always something I wanted. Again, I don't know. I think maybe guys don't think about the timing aspect of it as much. I certainly didn't. But I knew
I think you always tell me that you needed to be pushed.
Yeah, I really did, honestly. I think guys operate under a different set of rules.
Right.
I think there's an internal biological clock, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not as present with guys. So, it was mostly driven from a timing perspective by you, to be honest. But it's the most wonderful thing in the world. And aside from our marriage, the minute that he entered this world, I mean, will always be, the best moment of your life. There's no way to ever describe it, how much you love them and how wonderful it is to do it with someone you love. And so, some guys wait too long, I think. It's a beautiful thing, and there's really nothing to be afraid of, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Quickly pausing this episode of the show to let you know that my private one-on-one coaching container is now open. Over the course of 2021, I'm only going to be working with a small, select group of women to help them return to feeling like they're at home in their bodies, to help them lose resistant weight, to feel less anxious and more energized. My one-on-one coaching is truly for you if you're tired of feeling depleted, overwhelmed, bloated, or like you're just not enough. There's no magic pill or cleanse or detox that's going to work. You are really ready to make that commitment to yourself and create the habits that will lead you to hormonal balance and vibrant health. I'm here to help you get to the root cause and create meaningful change. If you're feeling called to work with me so that you can finally feel at home in your body, head to the link in the show notes to learn more.
So I'll ask you some questions now, my dear.
Creep.
What drives you? Why are you doing this? Taking on this new part of your career. You obviously work for your family. You worked for an event planner in New York. You've tried a number of different things. I can attest to the fact that you're probably the happiest you've ever been, and you're the most driven because it really is your passion. And so, what brought you to this point, I guess, is what I'm asking.
I loved working for my family business because I got to be with them every day, but I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. And I think there was really a gift in me being sick for the years that I was and not feeling well for the years that I didn't feel well. You know it best. We broke up when I was at the height of my thyroid issue because I was so irritable, I was so moody, I was so grumpy. And there was
That's why I broke up with, so the fans know. I'm just kidding.
And there was a whole host of other issues going on. But when I was able to really transform my life in the last, 4 to 5 years and understand that it didn't have to be the way that it did, and you didn't have to feel like shit every day when you woke up.
Right.
I really quickly realized that I wanted to share that with other people. And when I did, I got such a huge response, that other people were feeling like this, and I wanted them to know that they're not alone. And that is kind of what led me into going to get my health coaching certification, which took me a year. I did that during the year that I was pregnant with West, so that I really felt comfortable and I had the knowledge to share the science behind what works with people. So I did that, and in May, I launched Wellness by Kelley, where I have health coaching clients and a membership program. And on different levels, totally different levels, I share with people either one-on-one or through my video content, ways that they can change their lifestyle and diet to make them feel better. And you don't have to be living off a prescription or a pill, because that's never going to get to the root cause of the problem. And so what I love to share is the lifestyle hacks that can make you feel the most energized and feel the best in your body that you ever have. So that's really what I love to do, because it's what changed my life. And I think it's what's changed my relationships, even with you and my family. I'm a happier, better person now that I share and get to do what I love. And I think that's where I get the most fulfillment.
So working directly with clients probably then, right? Having that one-on-one interaction and teaching them and going back and learning.
Absolutely. I mean, I love being able to teach people one-on-one and have them get the results. That's like my goal, is having people get results. But I also really love working with my membership program. And even though there's hundreds of people in there who, I may not know all of them, I love that they're using the content to make themselves feel better, using the meditations to get their mind in the right place, because that's where it really all starts, is where your perspective is and choosing your own happiness. And, they're using the plant-based recipes, they're using the low-impact workouts, and they're feeling this sense of balance. I love that too. So I love working with people on all the levels, and even the people who aren't involved in my programs, who are just my Instagram followers, who are making the celery juice and doing their fruit first and tagging me. I love seeing you guys too. It's all, any of you guys, getting results and feeling better than you were feeling before. That's means the world to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I grew up like vegetarian. You
I know.
grew up more of,
there was meat every meal.
Dairy, meat. There's a lot of information out there, and I guess more focused on like the diet aspect, let's say. What's one area or book or, I guess blog aside from yours that people can really start to gain? Because there's a lot of misinformation around diet. We both agree about that.
Totally.
What would you recommend for someone just starting to get into a potentially plant-based diet, to get their information and then how to start?
Look, here's the deal. When it comes to eating a plant-based diet, I don't think that the way I do things is what's going to work for everybody. Like, I have tons of clients who still use meat, but they use it more as a topping rather than as the main entree and the star of the show. Yeah, like you. And you don't eat it at every meal. And, there's a way to start doing that in, where you're removing it once a day, and then you're removing it once, and where you're only having it at one meal a day, and then you're only having it, a couple times a week. Really making it a slow and steady process and increasing the whole foods that are plants in your diet is the way to go. When it comes to a book, the best book that I have read on adding more plants into your diet and as a why is called How Not to Die. And it goes into all of the health conditions, chronic diseases, really awful things that happen when you're eating the processed food and large quantities of meat. So I think that if you're looking for some sort of, inspiration as to why to go plant-based, if you're looking to really improve your health, that is a great place to start.
Okay. If you could relive a year in your life, what year would you choose?
Oh gosh, that's so tough.
I don't think anyone wants to live 2020 aside from our son being born.
I have actually loved 2020. It's been a really great opportunity for me to focus on my business, to connect with our son, and to be home without a lot of the other distractions that I would normally have. So I've loved 2020. I think that if I could relive a year of my life, this is really a double-edged sword, right? Because if I hadn't gone through all of the things that I had, I wouldn't be here today. But if I could go back into my early 20s in college when I was so hard on myself, when I was really facing a lot of the eating disorder, restrictive eating patterns that I was in, working at that like perfectionist mentality and never giving myself a break, those would probably be the years I would, or when that all started, the year that I would relive, so that I could go back and just tell myself to be more gentle on myself. But again, like I said, I wouldn't be here today helping other women and helping other young girls get through what they're going through, and my life would be totally different if I hadn't gone through that myself. So, any young women out there, I guess all I'll finish this question off with is to say, be softer with yourself, be more gentle with yourself, and it's okay not to be perfect, because none of us are.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say when we first started dating, so that was a little of a surprise to me.
Well, that is around the time that we first started dating too. I was 19, so there was good and bad there. There really was.
Yeah.
So for you, when it comes to your career, back when we were in college, online shopping really wasn't as big as it is now. I mean, especially after COVID, that's like the only thing people are doing is online shopping. And when you got your business degree, how did you know that you wanted to start a career in e-commerce versus something else all of your peers were doing, like joining an accounting firm or a consulting firm that's so, generic?
I didn't really, honestly. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I think partly related to the educational system in this country, but it's partly related just to being young. Like, I really didn't have a great idea of what I wanted to do, even in my senior year. And so I didn't really know. And as you know, I worked in real estate for a short amount of time, and then I realized that's not what I wanted to do. And I ended up, traveling, and I kind of got lucky, honestly, but I think taking the time to reset and really figure out which career move I wanted to take is important. I think, and there's financial aspects and all this, but I think sometimes people move a little too quickly. Mm-hmm. If you love what you do, the money will usually always come. And so I'd like to think that I really approached it that way. And I did a lot of research while I was traveling, and, I knew the online shopping, online driven retail was never going away. It was only going to grow. It's hard to imagine it was going to grow this fast, especially in this pandemic, but I knew I had an affinity for that. I'd grown up like listing things on eBay. I loved the whole process of that. And so I actually, through a connection in school, got connected with a company called Magento, who's now owned by Adobe. And at that time, they were really the foremost competitor in the e-commerce space. And so I didn't know much about it. Back then when you wanted to build a website, you kind of just had someone go code it for you, whereas now there's actually platforms. And so, that's how I got into it. And it's not like I had any prior education. I learned everything when I first started, and it's a tremendously fast-growing business. And I think one of the advantages as a millennial is like we're kind of the pioneers. It's not like an accounting firm, like you mentioned, where you have all this tribal knowledge that you need to learn. It moves so fast that younger generations are the pioneers, they're the experts. And so I was able to kind of get in early. But to be honest, I got lucky. I've been a part of 2 extremely fast-growing businesses, and that will always help your career. I mean, that's the truth of it.
So for all of us online shoppers, we're dying to know, what is the next big thing? Can we expect for our packages to be dropped off by drones?
It's possible. It's the FAA that's really holding it up, honestly. I mean, when you think about Amazon and the e-commerce space in general, I mean, it's only going to get more and more sophisticated. So it'll probably start with electric vehicles, and then it'll move to autonomous vehicles. And then, yeah, honestly, it probably will move to some sort of autonomous drone delivery. I mean, no one wants to admit it, but errors in my business are always human related. Computers are more perfect. That's why Amazon and many others have gone robotic. So if you can streamline that, and it's sad because it is not the best for job creation, but that's certainly what they're headed for, and others as well. So that's possible, probably 10 years out. Other than that, what's a huge trend in online shopping is just AI or machine learning. I mean, it's incredible the amount of knowledge that a retailer would have around you through multiple channels, and say that they know everything about their consumers, and so they're able to offer extremely targeted
So they send us like push notifications and stuff like that for stuff that they know that they want us to buy.
Yeah, and they know exactly who you are. They know that you've been looking at an item, and you might not have bought it yet. They might know, a discount that might push you over the edge. I mean, it's extremely sophisticated at this point.
It's kind of like the social dilemma, but for shopping.
Yeah.
Which is even more dangerous for our bank accounts.
Yeah, and good for me. So keep shopping.
So you mentioned to our audience that your career really started in real estate, and you have just started a little venture outside of your career in real estate again. So tell us about why you think that's a lucrative space.
Yeah, so my best friend and I just recently bought a multifamily property, and then I own a few others as well. Real estate is lucrative because there are 7 billion people on Earth, and that number is unlikely to go down. Everyone needs a place to live, and people largely want to live in certain areas. And so there's a lot less volatility in that market. It's very, very predictable in my experience. And so, it's kind of the American dream, right? Owning land, owning, a piece of the earth, is a lot. It means a lot to me. And so I enjoy the market. I enjoy the business. And it's certainly not going away. Looking for the trusted resource for luxury Las Vegas real estate? The Ivan Share Group is the expert in the Las Vegas luxury real estate market, specializing in high-end homes and luxury high-rise properties. The Ivan Share Group is a dynamic team of leading real estate experts dedicated to client satisfaction. Their extensive expertise in Las Vegas and Henderson allows them to help luxury homebuyers find their dream homes no matter what their needs are. They're dedicated to helping you buy, sell, or invest. Contact Ivan and his team directly at 702-315-0223 or visit www.isluxury.com to learn what they do differently. The Ivan Share Group is luxury and your trusted resource for luxury Las Vegas real estate.
So let's get into how you've got everything going on from you're trying to be a present dad, you're trying to be, you are a sales executive, and you're also getting your MBA, and like we just mentioned, you've got a couple real estate ventures on the side. So how do you prioritize every day and organize your life in a way that you're being the most efficient?
I'm not anywhere, obviously, as you know, I'm not as regimented as you. And so I kind of, I have a plan for the day.
Opposites attract.
Opposites do attract. And I'd like to be more like that. I think it would probably alleviate at least some of the stress when things get a little overwhelming. But
I think that we challenge each other to be the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah, I'm always trying to get you to, slow down, relax more, have some predefined time off.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say you're pushing me to be busier, but you're always
motivating.
Motivating for sure. I don't know. It's not as regimented. Like you said, I don't have this like really predefined morning routine, but I think generally eating healthy and getting a workout in the morning is key. And like that just sets you up. I think you definitely need to have a well-structured life. You need to know when to be on and when to be off. Like, so,
you
at
have
the end
everything
of the day,
in your Google Calendar. You live and die by
Google
that
Calendar.
thing.
Yeah, you have to have like personal time in there. If you meditate, lunch. I mean, it's a little sad, I think, but that's what it's come to in this day and age. And so you got to make sure, it's there and carved out. But yeah, I mean, for everyone at home, I don't have Instagram, right? Like,
No.
So
I think it's a big time saver for you.
It is.
I still tag your old account, but
yeah, so
no one's home.
Forgive anyone who has reached out, but no, at the end of the day, I think we both have learned, kids, they have a desire an incredible amount of attention, and that grows almost every day. Our son's 10 months old, and so you really it's really hard, but you gotta learn how to turn it off and like really be present, and there's always something you could be doing, but you got to carve out that time. I
think that is both of our number one priority. That's number one is time with him. So
yeah, without question.
Yeah. What are a few morning practices that set you up for a successful day? We just talked about like prioritizing and organizing, but you have your juice. What else? What are some other things that you do?
Yeah, if you have the means to have celery juice every morning, I think it's great. Honestly, I was probably a little dismissive of it at first, but like energizes you, it helps in other areas. So like I actually really do value that every morning, and it feels a bit strange if I don't have it. And so that's definitely up there. It's hard, and I break this all the time, but try not to look at your phone when you first wake up. I'm guilty, like I just mentioned, but if you can try to not look at it for the first hour, try to, I'm not huge on these really set in stone, processes, but like try to just, kind of take things slow when you wake up, think about what you're grateful for, at the end of the day, every day is a gift. So like, kiss your wife, kiss your children, like, kind of think about that stuff. And if you do, in my opinion, it just sets up the mindset for the rest of the day. Versus, getting right out of bed, right to your phone. It just, it's not as effective for me.
I mean, getting right out of bed onto your phone, I think, is what raises people's cortisol through the roof, because then you're literally on someone else's time. You're not on your own time anymore. Yeah. You're stressed out about who you have to get back to, when you have to get back to them, the appointments, the things that you have to do. It's just, if we don't do that and we take that time in the morning to allow ourselves to slowly wake up and really be more present and more mindful about how we want to feel in the rest of our day, it's going to be life-changing. It's not just going to change your morning, it's going to change your whole life, because being mindful in your morning routine is what sets you up to be more aware and more connected to all of the decisions you're making, more intuitive, with what your values are and what you're really going to be connected to throughout your entire day. So
yeah, and like I think everyone wants to meditate. Few do. It's very hard. But just getting up in the morning, honestly, and like meditating doesn't mean you have to have this predefined like hour with a podcast playing. Like it can just be the act of trying to calm your mind and breathe. And like doing that throughout the day, especially in the morning, I think is key.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not to get like overly philosophical, but that's kind of how I am at times. At the end of your life, what do you want your greatest accomplishment to be?
My kids. I want my kids to feel like we prioritized them and like they came out as the best versions of themselves. I want them to be free to do what they want to do and what they're passionate about. And I also want them to have enough structure to, grow up and be motivated and determined to give back and do good in the world. I think it's such a delicate balance of watching over what they're doing and making sure they're doing the right thing, but also allowing them to be who they are, and not being too controlling, but also not being too woo-woo, wishy-washy. It's going to be really hard, and it's going to be super challenging. But I think both of us being the most present versions of ourselves and allowing them to know that we're there no matter what they need is the first key to achieving that goal.
Yeah, a common study has shown that like the biggest regret people have, at the end of their lives usually is like they worked too hard and they didn't, spend enough time, or in their opinion, enough time.
Totally.
So it's a tough balance. Our society rewards and incentivizes very, success in a breakneck pace. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely want my business to be successful. That's definitely one of my goals. But I know, what matters most to me is Wes.
Yeah,
From the moment he was born, that's just been my number one priority. And while I would love to see my business flourish, and I love seeing it grow every day. It's been the most amazing thing. I want to be able to balance them in a really, beneficial way. And when I say beneficial, I mean beneficial to my son, so that I have time that is deliberately off, that I'm with him, and then I have time that I'm deliberately working. So everything is really thought out, and nothing is, just all over the place.
Yeah.
When it comes to parenting, I think we both believe in quality over quantity. So what does that mean to you? How are you the most present version of yourself when you're with Wes? I think we already kind of touched on that, like you not having Instagram, but.
Yeah, I mean, my love language is quality time, which is, like, as a side note, I think it actually is really important for you to understand what you are, but.
What you are.
What you are. So I think that's what it is, honestly. It's like undivided attention. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, multitasking is a friend and an enemy. And so, kids are incredibly intuitive. You learn that very fast. So undivided attention and quality time, I think, is what every kid wants from their parents at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Everyone wants to know, what's it like growing up on Vegas? Because everyone asks me, how, is that where the Strip? You go down there all the time. What's it like growing up here?
It's so funny. I was asked that all the time when my family went on vacation when we were kids. And I feel like we still are now. We go places and we see people, they're like, you live in Vegas?
Yeah, it's not common.
Do you live in a hotel? And the answer is always no. And to be honest, as a kid, it wasn't even that cool. It was,
normal.
We didn't really go down to the Strip that often. And it was just like suburbia, like honestly, what it would have been like growing up where you grew up in Phoenix. It's really the same. We would, go ride our scooters and until I think I was in high school, probably my last year of high school, that's when things got a little wild. And me and my girlfriends would get our fake IDs and head out to the Strip.
No comment.
Yeah, but I got my partying years in young, and I was over it by the time I was like 23.
Yeah, you're well experienced growing up in Vegas, I'm sure, by the time you get to college.
Oh yeah, you know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, so should we do some quick fire questions with each other? Even though we already know the answers to these, I think it'll be fun so that our audience knows the answer. So what we can do is I'll ask the question, and then we can both answer it.
Okay.
I'll let you answer first, and then I'll answer second.
Sounds good.
And then you can ask the next one, so we're kind of alternating.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah. I answered the first one, though.
Okay, then you can ask me that one.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
What is your morning routine?
All right, so it's very specific. I like a good, detailed, specific plan. You know this. So the more details and the more planned, the better for me. Okay, you guys?
It's more anxiety producing for me.
So I wake up around 6:15. I'll meditate then. Sometimes I'll meditate just in bed. Sometimes I'll go up to my little altar and just sit there and turn on a guided meditation. From there, I get up, I go into the kitchen. Hopefully West is still asleep. I make celery juice. Between my celery juice and the next thing I eat, which is my fruit first, I make the dog's breakfast. I heat up West's bottle and I make his breakfast so that when he does wake up, it's ready to go. So that usually takes about 30 minutes, which is the perfect amount of time for the celery juice to digest. And then I have my morning fruit. So that's like 30 minutes into me waking up. And fruit is really great because it cleanses your digestive system. And if you eat fruit later in the day, it kind of causes this like traffic jam, where you can get bloating and upset digestion. So it's best to have it first thing in the day so that you can beat the cravings by giving your body the sugar that it needs and also really give your body the energy and cellular hydration that it needs, detoxifying everything else. So you know that we have a big plate of fruit.
You could just have a celery juice later in the day. That'll clean you right out.
That's why you do it first thing in the morning. That's why we have this routine, okay?
I'm saying a second celery juice if you need to, take a shit.
Okay, so then after that, Wes will usually be up. I'll go upstairs, give him a bath, change his clothes, play a little bit. And then by that time, I come downstairs and I make myself blood sugar balancing breakfast. So that means protein, fat, and carbs. And I'm getting all of those nutrients in, usually with a matcha latte, because you know how much I love my matcha. Because those three things are so important for keeping your hormones nice and balanced and your blood sugar balanced throughout the day. So that is usually what my morning looks like. And then West and I will go for a walk, or I'll try to get a flow in on my mat, some sort of movement before I head back, take a shower, and go from there.
So it's like World War III if he wakes up before your predetermined time.
No, I figure out how to make it work. If he wakes up before I get a meditation in, I'll get it in later when I have like time during lunch. Right. So my life obviously revolves around him. So if he's up early, plans change. And that was honestly one of the hardest things for me to learn. Yeah. It was so hard for me to let go of control in that way. So he has been the biggest gift in being my teacher for that.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing you've eaten this week?
This week? That stir fry you made was pretty good today.
For lunch?
Yeah, I love like teriyaki stir fry. I don't know what the noodles were made out of.
They were rice fettuccine noodles.
Just rice fettuccine noodles, like some soy-free teriyaki and vegetables, honestly.
Yeah.
It was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try.
You try well.
For me, the best thing that I have eaten this week is either, oh my gosh, those cookies, those gluten-free vegan cookies from Erin McKenna.
Those had sugar in them.
Yeah, but they were so good. They have like this frosting in between them, like cookie sandwiches. Or I just made a new recipe that's actually going to go up in the members site last night for this cauliflower Alfredo sauce over rice noodles with broccoli and peas.
Yeah, that was good too.
So that's going to be up soon. Okay. If you were a color, what would you be? I already know the answer.
Orange.
You're very vibrant.
Yes, I love the outdoors. I think the sun has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
It's the color of the Phoenix Suns. I grew up in Arizona. I'm not sure. It just always is my favorite color. I think it represents me.
I think you're very outgoing and you have this like very positive energy about you. Whenever other people are talking, negatively, or you never want to be involved in that conversation, or, conversations that are complaining, I guess is the right word. You're never part of that. And I think orange definitely signifies that vibe.
Yeah.
I would be like a purpley blue, like indigo. I think that it is a calming color, and that's what I need more energy of in my life. And I like to radiate that out into the universe. So always like giving out what you want to put in. And I don't know, I've just always been really drawn to that color. I think that like the purple kind of signifies a higher self, which is what I'm always
striving to get to.
Striving to be, yeah, exactly. So, and the blue is, my favorite thing is the ocean. So that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
What is on your nightstand?
Many things. Probably, always a hydro flask, so water. A series of books. I'll usually be reading multiple at the same time. Oftentimes not just one finish onto the next one. Then probably the iPad, so I can monitor Wes, because that's what our baby monitor runs through. But the phone is
far away,
10 to 12 feet away. That's about it. Not anything too interesting, honestly.
Okay, so mine is, again, very detailed, very specific. We like a plan.
Right. You like a plan. You don't like a plan.
I'm saying we as in me and my followers here. Okay?
Gotcha.
So we've got the pillow spray that has lavender. That's super important.
Right. Can't live without that.
No, can't live without it. Got like some sort of a facial oil because my skin, it tends to run really dry.
Yeah. The cavemen really would have appreciated that.
Got a foot cream because, again, my skin is really dry. So I'll put that on with some socks. A lip balm, a lip mask. I like the one by Laneige. I think that's the name of the brand. Super hydrating. I like the vanilla one. And then I actually gave this to you last night, the Breathe essential oil.
Yeah.
That I put in our diffuser, and then I'll rub it on my hands before I go to sleep so that I'm not congested.
Right.
And a whole stack of books. I like self-help books, and I also like just novels where I can kind of relax and stop thinking for a minute. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and usually my nighttime hot chocolate. Yes. I need that every night.
It's usually dishes.
Yes. All right. Give our listeners your best tip for balancing the chaos.
It wouldn't be some sort of regimented plan, honestly. It's just take a deep breath throughout the day. Life's not about getting what you want. It's about loving what you have. Like, don't get caught up in it all. Always remind yourself of how good, you have it and what your gifts are, because everyone's fortunate, just oftentimes in different ways. And so you can take on anything, but just always be gracious and remember where you came from and remember what you have. And if you take even little moments throughout the day, it changes everything. That's really what it comes down to for me. It's no set plan or agenda. It's just staying present.
I love that you gave a more woo-woo answer, because mine is super.
Right, yeah. I could have guessed that.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that you came in and balanced that out. But for me, it's really about keeping everything in my calendar. Every single thing, whether it's West's music class or a walk I'm going to take with him in the morning, or my meditation practice or my workout or client calls. Every single thing is color-coded in my calendar, and it is what keeps me sane and organized, because I have to have even travel time booked in there so that I know that I can get it all done. And that is my best tip to all of you guys. And I know it's not
Does your calendar know when you want to sleep in, or
no,
do you have to update that? Okay.
I gotta hit refresh on that. I know that it is not the beautiful answer that Chad gave, but it's practical and it's real. So
it is very practical and real. I also live and die by the calendar. I think you have to in this day and age.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. This was so much fun. I hope that you got to know me better, you got to know Chad better, and we are so excited to dive into a bunch of episodes with some really, really great guests coming up in the next couple of months. You guys are going to hear from us once a week. We hope you learn a lot. We hope you take away some real nuggets, and that this is giving you the inspiration you need to balance the chaos in your life.
Yeah. And from a male perspective, we have a ton of different people coming on. There's athletes, there's businessmen. We're looking to try to offer a bunch of different angles of how to balance the chaos and manage your life and get better, 1% every day. So we're looking forward to sharing it with you. Hey, thanks for listening.
Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also connect with us on social media at Wellness by Kelley. Drop us a DM for who you want to hear from.